I've had programmable locks on my doors for about a decade, and I've been reviewing them professionally for about 5 years now. Deslock reached out to me to see if I'd like to do a video on the new B200 Smart Lock with fingerprint scanner. In addition to fingerprints, this lock can also open with a code, with a key fob, with keys, with the app, and with things like Alexa or Google Home. This video is the result of installing and using that lock. It's a sponsored video, but I only do sponsored videos on products that I like, and I give you both the good and the bad points. Also in the description below is a code for you to get 20% off this lock. All right, let's give this a try. The B200 has so many ways to unlock and lock a door, it's crazy. It's actually easier to use this lock than my very expensive HomeKit locks. The fingerprint unlocking really seemed like it was going to be just a gimmick, a small battery-powered lock that can recognize your fingerprints quickly and costs under $100. Yeah, whatever. But it works, and the fingerprint recognition works really, really well. The B200 can also be unlocked using their app and Bluetooth. You can also unlock it with an included keychain that has an NFC chip on it. Just tap the card on the face to lock and open it. So you can store 150 PIN codes on it and 50 different fingerprints on the lock, which is even enough for a commercial space. And if you have the G2 gateway, you can unlock and lock the door with Alexa or Google Home. The G2 gateway also allows you to get notifications on your phone when the lock is used, so it feels like a no-brainer just to get it. So let's talk about installation. The Deslock B200 installed as quickly as any of the locks that I've ever installed. If you've never installed a lock, I'd say it would take you probably a half an hour at most. The instructions that come with the lock are surprisingly good. A lot of locks come with like IKEA level instructions. Turn this, do that. Another nice touch comes from a simple piece of adhesive tape. When you install the backplate onto a deadbolt, until you have the screws in place and tightened, the backplate can wobble out of position. But the backplate has to be in the right position to connect the lock. The Deslock B200 solves this with a simple solution. There's sticky tape on the backplate, so it stays put while you're tightening the screws. It's simple, but it shows that they actually tested these locks to see where installation problems would pop up. Inside the box are both the physical keys and 2 blue keychains, but these are actually the contactless fobs for the lock. Don't throw these out. The Deslock B200 has a claimed 12-month runtime on a single set of batteries. But check out how smart this is. There's a USB-C port on the front of the lock that can provide power if the batteries die. While keys and apps and key fobs are cool, and they all work on the B200, the fingerprint unlocking is where it's at. The Deslock B200 has a claim recognition time of about 1/3 of a second. This isn't the same as unlocking time, which I've seen some reviewers get wrong. It still takes a few seconds for the door to physically unlock or lock, as that's a mechanism that has to actually rotate, but the recognition is just about instantaneous. The company says this lock has a recognition rate of 99%. I'd say that's accurate if you could place your finger on the reader the exact same way every single time, but physically touching something isn't always precise. That said, I'm getting above a 90% success rate. It's definitely on par with the recognition rates of my HomeKit locks when I tap my phone or watch, and it's better than the rates I have for punching in a code manually on just about any lock I've ever used. So there are a bunch of ways to give people access to this lock. There's the permanent ways for people in your household or your immediate friends and family who you want to get in all the time. You can register their fingerprints, you can give them a fob, and if you have the accessory, you can let them log in using the app. Like all good electronic locks, you can give people temporary passcodes. You can even use their fingerprints or any other code and have them expire at specific times. So since you can give codes that have access for specific times, a homeowner could give access to their cleaning service on specific days, or they can make a code for a visiting friend that's available to use until the friend leaves. The lock has a speaker in it, so it provides audio feedback if you do something like put your finger on it and it doesn't recognize the code.
Operation failed.
And it can tell you when you've locked the door successfully. It also has this cute but not particularly useful thing where if you fail authenticating, the lock plays a siren sound. Though it's not really loud and it's unlikely to scare away a burglar, I would love to be able to crank up the volume on this. Like I said before, with the G2 gateway, you get a few other ways to unlock your door. You can use Google Home, you can use Amazon Alexa for voice control. The gateway also gives you the ability to remotely control the lock when you're not close to it. That's because you have to use Bluetooth to control the lock normally, but if you get the gateway, you can connect to it over Wi-Fi from anywhere in your house or anywhere else in the world. And if you're even remotely interested in the gateway features, I'd suggest buying the bundle with the lock and the gateway from the start, rather than buying the lock and adding the gateway later. So I've been using this lock for a couple of weeks now since I installed it. I have gone through the door maybe 100, 200 times just to test it. I've only had about 3 times where it didn't recognize my fingerprint. And again, that was because I didn't really get the fingerprint on correctly. Now, if your hands are really wet or oily or you're wearing gloves, the fingerprint's not going to work for you. But again, you also have a key fob, you also have a programmable code, and you also have mechanical keys. I only do sponsored videos for products that I like, and I think you can tell from this piece that I like this lock. I installed it on my basement door. I'm glad that I did. It turns out that I go through the door a lot. I didn't really realize how frustrating it was until I installed the B200 and I saw how much easier it could be to get in the door. I have a garage door that needs a new lock, and I'm going to be personally buying a B200 and the G2 gateway to connect to that door instead of buying one of the more expensive HomeKit locks. So in summary, the B200 is a more impressive lock than I had anticipated, and even though I got one for free, I will be using that sweet sponsorship money to buy another one for myself. And don't forget, there is a discount code in the description below, along with links to stores that are selling the lock. If you get one, please let me know in the comments how you like it. The local meteorologist called and said there's a 100% chance that you will like and subscribe, so don't let them down. For Dave Tries This, I'm David Schloss, and as always, thanks for giving this a try.